Okay, greetings. This is going to be a quick one today. Try not to bump the mic too much here. Oof, fell against my face. All right. Whenever I bump into somebody, like really too much, like that, falling against your face or something, I'd say, want to dance? But then that got old. So then I said in a deep voice, nice to meet you. Well, if it was a girl, it usually was. It's probably them doing it on accident, and I'm making air quotes. Ha ha ha. Enjoy it while it lasts. Doesn't happen as often as it used to. Sad to say. Well. Such is life. Such is the life of the buildings of the Mudflood. Now this, as far as I know, is one of the very first photographs of, well, the Capitol building. They have their antenna up. I mean, that's the kind of thing you would do if you're having a conflict and they've blown up something or burned up something and you still want to have communication, so you put up the antenna even though the roof is not. Or is it a crane because they're constructing it? Well, that could be it too. But they are liars, so I'm going to suspect, pretty much suspect that first above everything else. Let me turn up this microphone volume a little bit. There we go. Now we have a better signal. All right. Empire of Mud. Empire of Mud. Primus. The mud house, the White House, isn't exactly white. And this lady standing there is kind of ticked off, like, you got mud on my house. And she'd almost hit her head on that threshold. Now, why was she drawn like that? She must be like 14 feet tall. I don't know. We'll see. Mud. Oh, yes, I forgot. I was like, why is that picture in there? They do this. This isn't from a mud run, I don't think. But anyway, I was trying to find pictures. You know, they have those mud runs. And like those didn't even really exist, 15 years ago? But now it's this huge thing. And I don't know. I think it's kind of like a joke. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. This is a photograph of Washington, D.C., one of the early ones. And just kind of jumping around here. There's a reason for each one of these things. Yeah, this colonnade, it kind of looks like there's grass growing on top of it. Now, this is the St. Louis Exposition. It's supposed to be like really brand new type stuff. Look at the details all the way up there. They didn't build it temporarily just to be torn down. Give me a break. Russian vids. Oh, yeah. Palace of Mines and Metallurgy. Yeah. Sunken Garden. Interesting. Have you ever heard of a sunken garden? I really have not. That place must have just blown people's minds. And, well, minds, not mines. They probably would have put mines on it. That reminds me, gosh, the word mine is happening a lot. When I was in France the last couple times, I learned about huge areas there that are off limits because of mines from World War One or mostly World War One, I think. And I think, I remember seeing it in the news, like when I lived over there. I saw it. Well, it wasn't in the French news. It was either in the English news or something. Well, it was about German news, I guess. They would find, but they did it in France too. They find mines, bombs, ordnances all the time, supposedly. You know what I mean? Like, oh, and it could blow up, and they'd have one blow up every now and then. Like, I don't think it's real. I mean, maybe some of them are, but But I think it's just to keep people off these certain areas. And what I found out when I was in France was that they had these camp installations in some of those areas that were off limits. Now, I don't know any more than that because you can't even see it usually, but I was up on top of a mountain. I remember which one, but anyway, I was looking from the mountain, and so the guy I was with told me, if you look over this way, you can see that way. And it was just like a little white spot structure or something out there way off in the distance, but it was some installation, but there's no way you can go to it. But he said that, the town knows from going way back, the local history, that it was some kind of a camp where they held people, super secret type stuff. So nobody has ever really documented some of these places. And they tell you if you go in there, you're going to get blown up. I went wandering around a little bit just on the mountain that wasn't really off limits, but my gosh, they thought I was nuts because what, anything could have happened to you. It's like, what? Apparently they have wild boars that can come in a big herd and tear you up. Like, I can climb a tree or whatever, and they're like, you can't be up there all night, and I don't know, I'm just afraid of a few pigs. I don't know, it just was a foreign concept to me. I just walked around like I own the place. That usually works. Oh, this statue, I guess it's still around, but it's got a strange history. It was unceremoniously dumped alongside the railroad tracks. They were out of their Vulcan minds. It's the Vulcan statue. And they kept moving around, and who knows what you see today, if it's even part of the original or not. It's probably not even the original. But yeah, these buildings, that's not temporary crap. Sheesh. Look at the rooftops. I mean, you want to see temporary. I remember being upset about the Back to the Future stage, the Back to the Future lot. One of my favorite movies, when it burned down, where they had filmed Back to the Future, and I hadn't gone there yet, and it was a stop at the Hollywood Studios place or whatever in LA destination. You could see it. I had never gotten to see it. I wanted to see it, and it burned down. But then when I saw it on TV of it having burnt down, I thought, that's crap. I wouldn't want to see that. It was just like plywood boards, with the 2x4s on the back side giving it structure, and it's barely strong enough against a wind. It's just, it was very disappointing. I'm like, I don't know, that didn't impress me. It wasn't such of a big loss, really, But yeah, if you take a picture of a building lit up today, does it look quite like that? I don't know. Maybe they just went nuts because illumination was new and novel. Okay, so this building they didn't keep. Now, it's similar to the one in San Francisco at the Panama Pacific Exposition that they did keep. Well, this one they didn't keep. Now, look at this. I'm being sarcastic, very sardonic when I say I can't see any reason why anybody would want to keep that. Tear that shit down. Well, they did. It's gone. Jerkwads. Yep. Now this is the Disney World Cinderella's castle, which probably is just built temporary, right? I mean, people saw that go up, and I think it was completed in 1970 or 1972, somewhere around there. And it looks pretty nice. It looks Tatari, and it kind of looks like that building that I featured from Kazan, the city of Kazan. But that was a mosque. But anyway, this is not as permanent a building, and I think they can take the top part off with a crane if there's going to be a big hurricane. They'll never do that. I think that's just BS. But yeah. So there's the fair, and then after the fair, they had to tear that stuff down. That doesn't look like temporary stuff to me, really. I mean, unless those things are wood, not metal. This is probably kind of like maybe how... No, that wouldn't be how they found it. Look at the ground, how it's all knocked up. I mean, what the heck? What's wrong with these people? Jerks. Now, in the foreground, I see junk. And in the background, I see really nice stuff. And all you ever see in these construction photos is them putting up the rooftops. Because apparently the rooftops didn't really make it sometimes. But it looks kind of contrived. I mean, look at how sloppy that work site is. It's an embarrassment. What is that? That's just... Something's not right about that. And the different colors. They got the Niller sky. Where's the horizon? What the heck's going on around here? Why are there hardly any people? What is this? What's going on? Okay, we're going to jump around weird stuff. Oh, yeah, this was from Martin's. I was watching, and there are a couple of good ones. That might be just a fictional book. All right, so take it for what it's worth. I didn't look it up. Dan Kajan, us. I don't know. It's probably just like Gulliver's Travels. This was interesting. Let me see if I can shrink this down a little bit. Oh, yeah. Heck, I could have been doing that all along. Something wasn't right. This is just, I don't know, what some graphic, but it made me think of what the Bible describes heaven as being like, the city of God, Jerusalem, the new Jerusalem coming down from heaven. And it's like 1,000 miles by 1,000 miles, and it's a cube. And it floats down from heaven and lands basically probably right in the center of the earth where the North Pole is supposed to be. But it's made of, I don't know if you've been hearing recently about the clear aluminum, which was first mentioned in Star Trek 4, the whale song, or whatever that one was called. What was it called? I don't know. But they talked about transparent aluminum, and then now that's in the news as some carrot they're dangling. It's probably... But in the Bible, it talks about transparent gold walls and how God gives light to everybody. And so you don't have the sun, so it's not like the hot sun or whatever. Anyway, you picture a city that's a cube with clear gold structure. It'd be something somewhat like that, I guess. Probably more colorful and active. Oh yeah, when I showed this the other time, I forgot to include something that, so you might have been wondering, like, why would I even think that could be an actual car or whatever? But in this book of the Darned, or whatever the heck they decided to name it, He said, oh, where is it? Bear with me here. This might not be that right page. Yeah, I don't think this is. But somewhere around there, he says something about how they suspect that there were motorized cars. Let me see if it's here. I think that Milky Ways, astronomers, past clean. Okay, here it is. I think there are out, like other places he's talking about, other lands, basically, or other civilizations that come and ravage the lands and pounce upon civilizations of the past, cleaning them up all but their bones or temples and monuments, for which later historians have invented exclusionist histories, which I totally agree with. This was that book written 100 years ago. But if something now has a legal right to rule over us and can enforce its proprietorship, they've been warned off, and that's why they aren't asserting themselves, I guess, is what he means. And that's the way of all exploitation. So it's that, or I should say we're under cultivation and that we're conscious of it. Very chilling words. Now this, wait a minute here. Maybe I wasn't, let's go back here. Yeah, I got all that. Anyway, so here, this is totally making me think of the Mudflood. This is from that, the old German Bible, Gutenberg Bible, something like that. Don't remember the name of it exactly. It's not Gutenberg, but it's similar to that. But I mentioned it in the earlier video about this stuff. But they're using horns, and the ground is liquefying, and down they go. I don't know. You know, it looks like it's supposed to be God in the drawing, but it doesn't seem. He's on a double rainbow. Strange. Just it's different. Whatever. Okay. And then there's more pictures along the same lines here. There looks like the 4 horsemen, and then they're pouring out the bowls of wrath. But I showed these before. I just didn't. I kind of rushed through a few things last time, and I wanted to just go back. I felt like I hadn't covered it quite enough. Like, what are the angels holding? I find that interesting. It's kind of like a scepter / umbrella. And the angels are bigger than the people. This is interesting. We're going to criticize it really, but. And the trumpets, and they're pouring out, and the trumpets seem to be making like fire come up from the ground, which we've been seeing lately, which is really freaky weird. Like end time stuff, because I'm talking about Paradise, California and all that business. And fire did come up from the ground in some cases. There's no doubt about that. They were talking about burning roots. Burning roots, what the heck? Maybe, I guess maybe in California, but not where I'm from. You don't drop a match and have a fire burn underground. I mean, if there's coal or something, maybe then, but you don't drop a match and have a fire burn underground through roots. No way. Unheard of. Yeah, and then there's that 99 Luftballons, you know, the nuke, the balloon ICBM coming out of there, lifting off when the balloon goes up. And a hatch, whatever. But it's just showing you can go underground. This is from 14 something, supposedly 1400 something, and you can go underground, but they're gonna get you. They're gonna get you. They'll get you. Can't get away. Can't escape Judgment Day. Somebody pointed out the one tall dude has his hand in there, like the Freemason thing, so that might be like a hoax. I don't think it was. I think it was just the thing that they did. They didn't know what to do with their hands, but it does. I mean, I can believe, but I looked at the picture closely and like between the people, and if it was faked, they did a really good job. That's all I can say about that. So it's not like they're unreal heights, it's just, it's 7'6", 7'5". It's not completely unheard of. So, and the one guy's still alive. Look, born in 1876 and going strong. Where is he today? All right. I just thought that was a neat picture. And then this. Okay, this is in a museum, right? You go to the museum and they show you, and this is the, I'm mocking them for their disrespect of Native Americans, but it's like, this is the Injun sacrifice. They sacrifice somebody to the morning star and blah, 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 blah. And it's a photograph. And, well, it's a staged photograph of a ceremony, right? So did it actually happen? Supposedly they say it did, but really, did it? Did it really? They fake this stuff and try to make it seem like things are bad that are good and things that are good are bad, so these are from Pompeii. And the thing about Pompeii is that it happened several times, and it may not, a lot of that stuff that's recovered may not be as old as people think. And, well, there's some evidence for it, but you can research that on your own. There's just some plaque. I don't know Italian that well, so I can't verify what the guy was saying, conclusions, but anyway, he was saying that there's no way it could have happened, only when they say, and he thought some of these were faked. And I don't know, but it's interesting that this dude's underwater, basically, is what they drew. It seems kind of like childish type art in a way. And I would think, and this one's all right, but in the sizes are different though. Look at that. But it was like a rich resort town. I would think they would have better stuff, better artwork. Now that looks like the sword from the Castle Grayskull or something that she's holding, or whatever it is. I don't know what it is. There's a horn in her other hand, or his, whatever, kind of androgynous. And then there's a little person, and then the little person's getting kind of menaced by snakes there. Like whatever. It's weirdness going on. Like when you go to a resort, is this really what you want to see on the wall? Apparently. All right, whatever. Looks like a trombone in a way, but still need to work on that, try to figure that out. Here looks like some censorship. Looks like people of different sizes, some giant, and I don't know, they're skinny dipping or what's going on. I don't know. Can't glean much out of that. Now here are big people, little people stuff going on. And these big ladies, they love their little dudes there, man. They like maybe they just don't feel threatened by them, I mean, what are you going to do? You know what I mean? So they're always enamored with and fascinated by their little dudes marching around naked. It's just kind of weird, but kind of cool in a way. I don't know. I'm not making a moral judgment like that. I'm just saying that it is interesting, fascinating. That kind of looks like Princess Leia or whatever. But this was what really interested me about this is what struck me about this. All those pictures of the people going through the big doors, the huge, huge doors. Well, here's somebody going through the huge, huge doors, and it's about right for her. I mean, they could have made the door maybe a little bit smaller, but I know by how it looks. I've looked at this stuff long enough already. Those huge, huge doors, you know what I'm talking about. I'll show some right now. Those doors, these dinker people that are just like us, teeny tiny little wee people, we the people, we the wee people, compared to those doors. And then just imagine those doors opening, and then this babe comes out. She's got a baby on her face, baby face. She's coming through the doors. Holy crap. I'd probably be her new toy, probably. She'd have me marching around half naked and whatever with the other ones. It's weird just trying to figure out what was life like. What would life be like if you were back in that time? Well, you'd be very small person, probably. Judging by just the pictures. And then this guy, he cracks me up. He's got the face of like a 3 or 4-year-old. He's got the body basically sized like, you can just tell there's a certain proportion to the human anatomy that is, I guess they call it the sum of squares or the inverse square law, I guess, is what it really is. But for some reason, they call it sum of squares. I think it's the inverse square law, but it's just where, you have pressure and you have area. So you have your PSI and just like how wide your feet have to be to hold up so much weight and this type of stuff. And so, the giant toddlers, they would have to have proportions somewhat similar to us. That's just weird though. I mean, like his head would have to be bigger. It's weird how his head's kind of small. I don't know. Maybe he was just a really weird looking guy. It fascinates me. But, take another look at this, and there's this hand. Like, what's going on? Is that thing alive? Like, is she wearing that for warmth, or is she like doing like that? I've heard of falconry is that ferret tree, you know. But it's just so well done. It's like a photograph. I mean, you haven't lived unless you've stood in front of one of these paintings and just let your mind go. Don't go by a schedule. Don't think about anything that you need to be doing or anything pressing or who's waiting on you or whatever stuff. And it's just you and the painting, and you just stare at it for as long as you need to. And for me, it's usually only like 2 minutes. Maybe a lot longer, but not usually. And I'll look at something like this in these 16th century, 17th century master works. I look at it and I see things like veins. I see like whiskers in the you can see the whisker from under the skin. And it's kind of a greenish color through the skin on a man, where the shaven part of his face has the whiskers that are starting like a 5 o'clock shadow, and the whisker goes into his face, and then it goes under the skin, and there's actually paint going under the skin color paint, and it's the color of the whisker, and the color mixture comes out kind of a greenish skin tone. And I look at that, and then I go home and look in the mirror and see the exact same thing exactly. And it's things like that that just amaze me about this stuff. I mean, they're like photographs. They just might as well be photographs. There's that naughty lady. I just think she's naughty. She's got a metal shoe. She's going to kick you with that metal shoe. Armor and that hair, man. It's like Elvis on, I don't know. It's like Marge Simpson on a motorcycle or something like that. It's weird. And then here you've got, like they do it today where they have Shaquille O'Neal and Vern Troyer standing together. Here's the big dude, but the big dude of their day, my gosh, he was a lot bigger. Their little dudes might not have been as little because we have so many more people now. That's the thing. Statistically, what are we at? 8 billion people, supposedly. We should have 50 times as many of these types of extremes represented, but the genetics were more diverse back then. So yeah, a lot of these are just like photographs. Here again, I'm looking at the dog. I'm looking at this lady. She's a big lady. And I'm always looking at the fingers, and I don't see like the 6 fingers. I just haven't. Well, I take that back. I did one, but I don't have it for you right now. Here, this is like a photograph. I mean, really. And look at that. Just how many people own clothes like that? Or, I mean, it's just amazing. And then this, the angel visiting the people. I think this is when he's visiting to tell Lot and family to get the heck out. Shit's going down. You got to move it. But it's so neat how they painted the angel, the light. Just, I mean, when you look at this from a distance, especially, I mean, it really is amazing. And then this, just, I think that is Lot, and his daughters were naughty as well, very extreme. But it's like a tree in the background, and then there's hell raining down and all that stuff. But the coy look from the one, and they're just really like this painting a lot. That's like a photograph. I'm gonna zoom in here. I mean, I don't have it in as high a detail, but my gosh. I mean, it's pretty much a photograph. It's supposed to be 15th century. 1574, they say. Kind of looks like an 8, but does it say Dana Delaney? No, that's what a lot of people thought. Dana Delaney. Northern Exposure. Lack of erosion. Okay, I got to move along faster. I've already kind of covered these. Oh, well, I didn't point out before, Lot's wife. See how she's standing? I mean, look at that. All right. Oh, this is like a childish depiction. Okay, childish, whatever. There she is. Okay. There she is. Look at that for a minute. Okay. All right. And you can tell by their proportions again, they're very tall people, very tall, like 7 feet, 8 feet. And then you look at this, it's like the same exact proportions. I mean, they knew, like, here's a contemporary version. It doesn't really match, but the older ones that matches. I mean, look at that. I did wonder though, like if it's salt, wouldn't salt, like just dissolve? It's really salt, but it must mean something different. I don't know. But okay, I'll pick up here next time. It's running a little bit long. And I won't forget, I'm gonna do a video on the end times, like your best guess from UAP of what to do if it all goes down, trumpets from the sky, the sun blacks out, what to expect and what to do, what not to do, according to the best of my understanding. So that'll be coming up in the meantime. I really hope it doesn't happen. But the gist of it is you just stay inside for 3 days and pray, and you don't sleep. And apparently it won't be very hard. Like sleeping is not what you're going to be thinking about doing. And I have some really keen insights about it though, because I think there will be traps set up, and if you don't really know your stuff, then you wouldn't make it. It's really fascinating, and it reminds me of the scene in Indiana Jones and Raiders of the Lost Ark, where somehow he knows, he tells her, close your eyes, don't look. And so she closes her eyes, and then the angels are flying around out of the ark, and then the Nazi guys are like, "You're beautiful." And then the angel's face turns scary, and then the German guy's head explodes, and then the other guy, I mean, not German, well, German, but the Nazi and the other guy, the other guy's face melted, and I thought that was so cool. I played My Poor Mother. I played that on the VCR tape over and over again to the point that it was just like stretched and staticky, because I just kept watching that. Because first time I saw it, it scared me, as a little kid. And then when I was a little bit older, then I watched it over and over again. I thought it was cool. But yeah, it'll be something like that. So I'll tell you what to do when I make that video. And in the meantime, it shouldn't happen there, but it probably, excuse me, I'm tired. Probably won't happen in our lifetimes, but you never know. I'm starting to think that maybe all these events happen almost like every few generations, it seems, because it's like a lot of the verifiable stuff only goes back from like 1850. It really does. It's crazy that way. I mean, I don't think it completely resets everywhere at the same time, but there are resets happening, and they happen. The world doesn't change, I think. It's like somewhere in the world, there's higher tech. Somewhere in the world, there's lower tech, and societies go up and down, and there's nothing new. And I think of the most modern thing I can think of, and it's like the tablet that I'm using. And then you look back in history, is there anything like that? And well, yeah, there are these divining mirrors and things like that spoken of in legends. And it's like, well, so that was around already too. What the heck? And then, I don't know, it gets really weird after a while, but there's so much we don't know. So we just have to keep learning. It's fun. I think it's a blast. So I'm glad you're with me on this journey, and I hope you enjoyed this one. And we'll pick up next time. Bye-bye.